So Books, Mechanic Matt actually done a video on his library, his automotive library, I guess, and I'm a fan of books myself. I don't have as an extensive a collection of automotive material as he does, but I can show you what I do have. Some of it is in my bookshelf downstairs, but I'll let you know. So I do in fact have the same Haynes book collection, the tech book series that Matt has. I think he's got the same series. Yeah, it's good. It's dated, to be quite honest. I think there's a revised version of it. How updated it is now, I don't know, but it is pretty good. There's some useful material in there, a bit general in terms, but it is pretty good stuff. This is a book actually borrowed from my brother. 10 years later, I still have it in my possession. My one brother's an automotive mechanic, and he had this from years ago. This is an excellent book, actually. Let me see, there's the ISBN. You can see it there, boys. This is available in a couple of different versions. In fact, it might even be in there somewhere. But make sure you get this version. This one is really good and goes into considerably more depth than some of the more modern versions does. I used to have a Volkswagen bus, Westphalia in the past, so still got them books. And I actually scored this for, believe it or not, $5. I think it's a 60. What year is it? I don't know. It's a Volkswagen. It's a shop manual, and I mean proper shop manual, right from Volkswagen in Brampton, Ontario. I think it is. I don't want to waste time on this here, boys, but it's a really early version of the bug in any case. And I actually scored this for $5 from an antique shop. I couldn't turn it down, and it's pretty. As I'm flipping through the pages here, how do I put this? It has a very distinct. I'm trying to find the year that's clickable. It's obviously in here somewhere. Oh, there you go. '52. Workshop manual for 51-52 models. I thought it was a wee bit later than that, but this is really early. Is that right? Is that right? I'll have to see. Maybe I'll edit this out if it's not correct. $5. Yeah, it's amazing. Amazing details. I couldn't turn that down. I've not actually read it, as you can tell. I've had it for some time, but I've not actually found the time to actually thoroughly read that, to be quite honest. So back to what I do have. This was an excellent book. How to Keep Your Volkswagen Alive by John Muir. This is a fantastic book. The illustrations in it are absolutely amazing. They're done by a fellow called Peter Oshwander. He's dead now, but an illustrator from the past. That's why I actually bought this book. The illustrations were amazing in it. And even better is the subsequent book to this. I no longer have it. I gave it to a pal of mine because he actually recently came into possession of a 70s Rabbit, and it only seemed right to give it to him because there's a version of this that's How to Keep Your Volkswagen Rabbit Alive, and the illustrations in that are even better. Again, it's a John Muir production. I think John Muir was dead by the time the Rabbit book came out, but it's also illustrated by Peter Oshwander. So amazing book, that one, and the Rabbit one. If you can get your hands on it, it's a spiral bound book. Amazing, absolutely. Even if you don't care about the Volkswagens at all, the chapters explaining an engine and how it actually functions. I mean, look at this. This is just give you an idea of Oshwander's skill. Look at that drawing. Look at the ink work in that drawing. It is absolutely amazing. I could look at this page for a long time, I'll tell you, and it wouldn't bore me. The details in it are absolutely astounding. fantastic book for the illustrations alone if you're not interested in cars. Yeah, so back to the collection here. I've got some rubbish. My son used to do some racing in the past and had some stuff on how to hop up air-cooled engines. This series is pretty good. I'm not a huge fan of it, to be honest, but I thought it was pretty good. This one is a good one. This fella here has actually got some really good material on Basic Electrics, done by Tracy Martin, Motor Book Workshop Manual. This is a good one. In fact, I think what was the last video I did? I don't even recall. There might have been a scratch test on the coils. This fella's got a lot of good stuff. This is actually the motorcycle one. Sorry. I'm trying to read this through the lens here, boys. And here's actually, same fella, he's got his automotive ones. So, just similar to Matt, I think. I've actually got quite a few books on motorcycles as well. I don't own a motorcycle, I've never ridden one, but I'm interested in the machine, you know, so I've got some books on them as well. So yeah, this is a really good one. What's the ISBN? Let me get you the ISBN on this if you're interested. If you know, well, that's fine, but some guys might be interested. See if I can find it. Yeah, there it is there. Yeah, so this is a good one, boys. I recommend that one. No, for the guys who really know what they're doing, this is probably a wee bit too basic but for introductory material, mid-level technician experience-wise, this is a really good book, really well done. This is an excellent book I have from the past. Quite dated now. I think this is from maybe the late 90s, mid 90s, late 90s. But that was a really good one. Duffy, he's written a lot of books over the years for you fellas. You might recognize the name, as has this fella here, Santini. Some good stuff. Halderman. Yeah, Matt had actually recommended some of his material as well. This is a fantastic book. Great details in this. Here is another version. In fact, this is a Canadian version of, as you can see, believe it or not, they actually published a Canadian edition of one of Halderman's, one of his textbooks. I think this is from the late 90s, maybe early 2000s. Good book, as is this one. This is a good book as well. Again, a wee bit dated, but I think there is a more modern version of this available. That is one in my motorcycle. That's a great book. I actually was on holiday one time and I bought that in a used bookstore and brought it back. Great book, some good material in this. This is a fantastic book if you're interested in automotive air conditioning and climate control systems. I am. I don't really even know why I am, to be quite honest. I just find heating and cooling quite interesting. The physics behind it is really quite interesting to me. This is actually one of the better books that I've found, and I've had it for years, but it remains one of the better books that I actually have. There you go, there's the ISBN, and it's quite technical in its details. This is not for the faint-hearted. It gets into all the details. Oh, look. Who knew? It's comparing a automotive system to an aircraft system, just by fluke. Enough about that. Here's a series of book. In fact, Mechanic Matt actually put me onto these. Graham Stokes. I'd never heard of the guy until actually a while back. Matt had actually done a review on this. I'd done a follow-up one. I tried not to. I always try, just the same way I'm making this, guys. I don't try to. I pride myself on not copying anybody's material. Of course, there's going to be some degree of redundancy. I mean, you know, talking about your book collection, how different can it be, right? But I have no desire and no interest to copy anybody's material, guys. Having said that, I don't care who uses anything that I might have as a suggestion. Not that I'm trying to pawn myself off as some guru of anything, I'm not. But if I have anything in any of my videos that you want to use, by all means use it. I do not care. But I pride myself on no copying anybody else's material. That's not fair. And if I do, I try to give people credit for what credit is due. Just the same way I will put a link to Matt's video Same book that Matt actually talked about. Good book. Again, kind of I wouldn't call this an advanced book, but good if you're getting into the... in fact, I would apply that statement to all of Graham Stokes' books. These are way too basic for guys who are who know what they're talking about, who've been in the automotive realm for years. But if you're just starting out or maybe mid-level, these are a good series of books, and I would agree with Matt's assessment wholeheartedly. This one in particular, I think, is actually the best of the series. And what I have found is, I don't want to show you too many details here in the interest of not breaching the fella's copyright, of course, but just looking at it briefly, it'll give you a waveform. What I've actually done is I've found it very useful to read the material is one thing. Get your gear, go out to your car, and actually set up your scope and see if you can make sense of your own vehicle's sensors, actuators, all the control system, and see if you look at the scope and can make sense of it. It made a huge difference to me just by actually taking this material. The theory gives you a good example. No too specific on the setups, but enough detail that you can actually take it out to your own vehicle, get your own specific wiring diagrams, and poke around your own vehicle when it's still functional. Then you can see things what they're supposed to look like, and that has proved a good learning tool for me, actually, a very good one. So yeah, that one's the best in the series. Well worth the money, that one in particular. This one, way too much health and safety stuff for my liking. Half the book is devoted to the red tape of the industry. That's my least favorite in the series, to be quite honest. Health and safety is obviously important, guys. I'm no one of these guys that dismisses all things safety. Not even close. I understand it is written for liability purposes. If it's going to be used as a textbook in school, clearly that's important, right? But as a casual reader, yeah, make it that way you will. So okay, I'll leave it at that. I've got in case I get myself a 55 Chevy one of these days. I've got the workshop manual for that. I'm not really too sure why. And I've got some other generalized stuff on cars as well. This was a good book. This is all engines, steam engines, aircraft turbines, obviously early automotive engines, internal combustion engines. This was a great book, actually. I like a lot of older material. That was a good book. This one was a fantastic book. The jacket is long gone, but is a Bosch publication, the motor car. And this, if you can get your hands on it, it's ancient. It's for the 70s. But the material in it is actually fantastic. And the cutaway drawings, amazing. If you're interested in that kind of stuff, guys, there's tons of learning to take place in this. Of course, it's all generalized stuff, but tons of learning to take place in that book. What else have I got? This is a great book as well, Driving Force. It talks about all the iconic automotive engines over the years. Model T, I'm a fan of the Model T as well. Maybe when I'm a bit longer in the tooth, I'd love to have a Model T. Maybe a Model A would be a wee bit more practical. What else is in here? This is all mostly, that's just a used fuel injection book I picked up somewhere along the line. Most of this stuff is my aircraft related stuff, some of it anyway. Oh, this one. Yeah, this is a great book. This, the motor vehicle, Garrett publication. This is a fantastic book. It's quite dated now. It's the 13th edition, this particular one, but it's a lot like the Bosch Automotive Handbook series. It goes into that kind of detail. Let's see if I can get the ISBN. There it is there. Yeah, this book goes into tons of, this is like an engineering grade book. I think I've spoken of that in the past. You guys might have seen the wee video I've done on that. That's a fantastic book. I really enjoy that book. It's quite deep, and I need to roll the material over it in my head multiple times in order to grasp what this book is actually talking about. But it's nice to have this level, right? You know, you can go from some of the more basic material, and if something captures your interest, it's nice to have something that really does a deep dive, and this certainly does it, as does most of the automotive handbooks that Bosch have published over the years. Those are a good resource as well. And you know what? This little book here, is basically a pamphlet. you know, there's extremes of things. This is an extreme on the theory side of the automotive realm, and this is the other extreme, where it tells you nothing other than symptom and then how to fix it. This is a book published back in the 70s sometime, and it was and it's a great little pamphlet. I will continue to hang on to this for a long time to come, because it breaks down all these subsystems in your car. Again, where's the ISBN? It is there. Ancient, but fantastic. There you go, 1976. So, I mean, granted, you know, you're not going to find much about your fuel injection system in there, or your ABS system, or your electronic stability program. It's not going to happen. But as you can see, some of the basics are still pretty much the basics, and still a valuable little tool. So, and I've got some small engine stuff. That's neither here nor there, boys. You can see that for yourself. But just taking you over to my other shelf here. This is a great book. Odell's. I think you guys have seen me talking about this book in the past as well. Again, this is ancient. I think this is from the late 30s, but a fantastic book. I really like that. I'm a fan of all things vintage when it comes to automotive technical books. And the Motor Gasoline Automobile, its construction, operation, maintenance, and design. Jesus, that's a mouthful for a title, isn't it? I picked up this recently. Again, I had mentioned this in the previous video, and you know, some people are no stupid. They know what these things are worth. I paid 65 bucks for this, and worth every penny. Right, so that's just a quick look at some of my books here, boys. Of course, you're going to need some books on physics and whatnot in order to comprehend some of the material. I've got tons of books on that stuff as well. That's, I don't know, I must be something wrong with me. I actually enjoy reading that stuff for pleasure. Yeah, so that's it. Just for those that are interested in it, a couple of books on F1 that I've read over the years. That one's a joke. That one is my favorite. That is a fantastic book. Jackie Stewart, absolute icon, of course. And there's a couple missing that have been moved on to other people and places in the world. But that's one of my favorites as well. Probably one of my favorite F1 drivers of all time, Graham Hill, two-time world champion, of course. And his son was on the scene later, of course. One-time world champion, Damon Hill, of course. But yeah, so anyway, Formula One's on hold like everything else, eh, boys? Okay, so I've drawn down for long enough. That's just a wee quick look at my books, inspired completely by Matt's. As I said, I will put the link to Matt's video because he's the one who inspired me to do this. This is a wee bit more general. It's not quite as comprehensive as Matt's collection, of course, but he does that for a living. I'm just a hobbyist, of course, as I've mentioned many times in the past. Again, important for people to realize that I do not want to be perceived by anybody as pretending to be something I'm not. So yeah, that's it, boys. Let's see your own book collection, and credit to Matt for taking the time to put his video together. And I'm telling you, I have learned tons of stuff from Matt. His approach is a wee bit different from most people out there, and I love his approach. He's just being himself, and I think he makes some fantastic videos. So if you don't know who Matt Mechanic is, go and check him out, boys, and you know the rest of the guys I watch. So yeah, that's it for one night, boys. I'll leave you with a sleeping cat. Cheers.